What's up, Zox fam? Now we are up bright and early, and I have to say thank you to all of you guys that wish me happy birthday on all of my platforms, community tab, my last video, Twitter. I appreciate all of you guys, and I am responding, so please be patient with me. I will be getting back to all of you. But nonetheless, we are going to be getting into why look into Wuthering Waves. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, I've had a lot of stuff blowing up over on Twitter, and it's just people who've never actually seen Wuthering Waves. So I thought this would be a good topic to actually get into. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what this video is all about, and we're going to give our responses. So let's see.
Endgame content, one of the most important for many games. From CBT1, 0 Point Research Station, the place where you have a few stages, clearing the mobs and boss challenges. So basically, whenever you deploy units in the next stage, you cannot deploy any more of these units. So it's
that's pretty sick,
your best units for the last stage. We can see they improved this stage, and maybe now we can have a co-op mode for this challenge. Will be cool as F. We can see now 3 characters in the same time.
You know what? And I didn't notice that before, but I think that that's actually one of the things that a lot of people are really looking forward to, is that in-game content, right? And for me personally, I think that that's just something we want to see in games, as it's supposed to be a fully fleshed out game. I think that, we always reference to things like, at least, when I make guides and stuff like that, there's that early game, there's the mid game, and then there's the end game. So if you're not familiar with gachas, that is typically the kinds of content that kind of come no matter what kind of structure it is. So if it's a turn-based, or if it's a hack and slash, or like an ARPG like this, you are going to be seeing those different elements. And for what Kuro is known for, they really are good at making really, really fun and challenging in-game content. So again, that's why I said, guys, if you have not come through to the twitch.tv/Zoxaskun, definitely make sure you guys do, because we are going to be covering their predecessing game, just playing it so you guys can kind of see how they cook from update to update until we get Wuthering Waves coming out, right? But what's even more exciting too is the fact that we have 3 characters available for us to play, it looks like. So if they somehow incorporate it in making the challenge tower mode, or this mode, co-op as well, so you can either challenge a single player and have its own variation rewards, and then being able to actually make it co-op as well, I think that that would actually be insane. So I think that that could be a huge W for the community if they decide to go that route. And I'm really honestly letting them cook here, right? I'm hype, but I'm letting them cook.
Characters in the same time. And now upcoming dungeons with new challenges. Hey, let's go.
Yep. And they announced that too.
We'll see more endgame content, and this one with shining doors. Where have you
Where's that? Yeah.
Next, like it or not, exploration will be part of this game.
Yep.
Finding secret chests or hidden location.
That is the sound from Tomb Raider. I'm asleep.
This is the secret that not many players get there in CBT1.
Yeah, so that was another thing too, guys, that during the first CBT, there was a lot of different approaches. Some people were able to get more into the nitty gritty of the secrets, puzzles, mini games. I focus more on the combat and interaction of compositions during the CBT one, whereas others were hey, I want to explore all of these areas. So there were a lot of different pieces of content that came out. Well, prime example, this secret island, and kind of looking at this is this is really, really well done, right? The entire concept of there is going to be different types of players on the game, because not everybody is just going to want to have this combat experience where it's oh, wow, the combat is the greatest thing. Some people are going to honestly probably find enjoyment in the secrets in the, the lore, or just even the universe itself, and just being able to explore that in its entirety, being able to see very, very, very beautiful environments and things of that nature. I think that that's also going to be a huge part as to what keeps players coming back as they unveil different aspects of the region, or they go into different regions. I think that that's going to be a very, very huge point is what exactly is your time being spent doing? What can you do with that time? And I think that secrets, puzzles, and mini games, being able to unveil how many of those, like if they say, for example, that they have hundreds of these things, then that just gives you more things to find, more things to do. And I think that that's always kind of what we're looking for in between, especially update to update, because regardless of whether or not we want to admit it, there are going to be periods of time where especially if you push the content extremely hard, it's going to be kind of a drought period, right? Until that next update. But if they have enough secrets, puzzles, mini games, things of that nature to actually offset while you're grinding, there's still something that you can, go and find, and is like something that might give you extra currency to maybe go towards the gacha or something like that. I think that actually would push a lot of people to continue to play, and it actually would up their retention on the game a lot. So I mean, hey, that could honestly really, really be a big deal, honestly. Even though you might not like it, I think that it is going to be great for content filling, and even just the main basis for some people for content.
And exploration was already smooth, with many grappling hooks.
Yeah, the grapple hook system is pretty fire.
Like a ninja.
And the wall running, yeah.
Variety puzzle and mini games. And guess what? More puzzle and mini games are coming.
Across the water, yeah. Having puzzles like that,
motorbike boss.
That's definitely a mini game or a puzzle.
And looking forward to more hidden location and secrets. Hope you too.
Yeah, echoes. Yeah.
And they provide extra attributes. I can easily say this may be another endgame content for you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like echoes, granted, they're going to be accessible, I'm pretty sure, earlier than like in-game, but I think it's the fine tuning of echoes is going to be more in-game, right? And that's another thing as far as things to do. In the CBT1, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same in CBT2, you can just find echoes in the outer world, and that was already a pretty big deal. So being able to have something like that as like a contributing factor to a thing you can go and do is going to be huge, right? So let's go ahead and continue.
If you are a collector person or want to grab the best attributes, since there will be some RNG involved, getting perfect echoes
perfect stats
will take some time. Luckily now, from tacit fields, we can get more copies if you want. Devs redesigned the echoes menu. If you collect special combination of echoes, you can activate Sonata, which give you more buff for your team.
Yep.
More challenges with high difficulty bosses incoming, where you can get special echoes, or you can find some shiny special echoes during exploration.
Yeah, this is kind of like one of the big aspects I think that's going to reel in a lot of different types of players. I feel like if you like the kind of like catching Pokemon idea, I think that actually is something that they have been able to take and making it relevant into their own game. Now, keep in mind, guys, this isn't like a new concept or construct for like Kuro. They have a pet system in Punishing Gray Raven, and I feel like they took it a step further with making it more unique to their game. So not only do the echoes become things that you can utilize in combat, but they become something that you can actually get stats from. And I think that that's actually a very unique way to make it to where the characters are not only relevant in game, as far as the combat, but they're also like a part of the world, right? And even the fact that they added a form of shiny or a special archetype of the echo, what that's going to allow is for people that like, of course, like to flex and, get very lucky with being able to find a shiny of an echo. That's just going to be one of those things people are going to be able to share with each other in the community. And it would be kind of cool to see with the shiny echoes, like maybe they have like something unique about them that the other echoes don't have. So I feel like this is going to be a huge, huge selling point, especially for those of you guys that love like the world exploration. Like I said, doing the puzzles and stuff like that. I think, of course, we're definitely going to see a lot of people hunting and trying to go and find these shinies throughout the world of this game. So again, that's another component that I actually am very, very excited to like get into, because I think that that's going to be, again, really, really unique and something to kind of, low key flex about.
Gotta catch them all.
Oh my God, this turtle meme, man. I wish you guys understood in CBT1 how much this turtle was like the biggest meme.
Do you like combat? Great. You are in the right place where the devs focus a lot on the combat.
Yeah.
And guess what? Looking into combat is one, but when you finally experience and feel fast-paced combat with dodge and parry system,
Absolutely.
hope your reaction will be like mine. Holy, they cook nice.
That they definitely did.
Take some time before you learn how to fight. So if the boss will kick your ass for the first time, that's normal. And once you get used to the controls
Yeah.
and learn the combat, game isn't that hard.
Yeah, so I would even say to that too, guys, is that we also, I don't think we're able to really get the full extent of like what Kira was cooking. I'm almost going to assume that going into CBT2, the game is actually going to be like definitely a little bit harder for the in-game content, right? And I'm air quoting that just so that you guys can kind of differentiate what I'm talking about. I feel like the workup content, as you're learning the mechanics and getting used to the bosses, yes, it's going to be difficult as you try it, but yeah, it should progressively get easier once you learn the controls of the character. And I could at least say that for myself, playing the CBT1, that was the case, right? Now, the thing that is going to happen is that the character bosses are going to have a change in sequence as you go up. So there isn't just this repetitive, hey, they do the exact same thing. At certain points, they're actually going to get a new sequence and they're going to actually be able to kind of like read you a little bit better. And so that kind of seems to be what they're like kind of playing into with like an evolution or evolving combat AI or system, to kind of match at this point what your skill level should be. Now, the other point to also mention too, guys, is that I know a lot of people, like I've seen a lot of feedback, like people are like, oh man, I don't know if I'm really going to like the combat system because it's going to be too sweaty. There are different types of characters. Like for example, Tao Chi is literally the most ooga booga character in the game. You literally need to block with her and she self heals. And then if you hit with her after that block, then she heals as well. So it's just like there's characters like her who basically can self-sustain herself 100% of the time. And we're talking about healing almost double the amount of damage to almost triple the amount of damage that she can do. There are going to be different types of characters within the combat system that are going to make your life a lot easier. They'll have easier combats to or combat skills to master versus like other ones. Like for example, Sanhua was a little bit harder for a lot of people to master, or even I think her name is Danji. She is a lot harder to master as well because she has a mechanic in her kit that takes away her HP. And then like Sanhua, for example, has a very specific timing of when you're able to actually, I would say, perfectly execute her skill. So there's a lot of different like elements into what's going to make, a character easier to use in that, specific boss fight or just in combat in general. So I don't think that it's all just going to be catered to those that are super, super sweaty and know all these different move inputs. It's also going to have some accessibility for those of you guys that might not have as much of a savvy eye with being able to catch everything, right? So let's go ahead and continue.
But keep in mind, for the best rewards and some endgame content, there will be some challenges waiting for you.
Yep. Yeah, the Inferno Rider was pretty fun.
Elden Ring or Dark Souls vibes, and we got our Malenia.
Crownless, yeah.
I like how the game already looked from CBT1, but also felt that the world looked too gloomy.
Yeah.
And of course, dev listened to the community because they got feedback.
Yeah, they made the universe look way better. Absolutely.
Richer, added weather effects, and how they presented for upcoming CBT2. Let us in. Should we worry that this may not feel like a post-apocalyptic world anymore? No. I believe in the Kuro, this will have the same vibes, but
absolutely
will be more appealing and more inviting to players.
Yeah, I feel like the way it looks now is because the concept that a post-apocalyptic world is just supposed to like look like grayed and like just destroyed. I think that like there's also aspects to like depending on like what kinds of civilizations you're looking at, like when you go the route of like it's only robots and stuff like that, maybe that might fit a little bit better. And that kind of coincides more so into how they present like Punisher Gray Raven, for example. Whereas you're still seeing humans, right? So I would say that there's still going to be some sort of life still breathed into the planet. And, just because you see greens or, bright colors of certain sorts, it doesn't mean that the world is any less apocalyptic. Sometimes you have to even consider the idea that like, because now there's not as many people in a specific area, the Earth has been able to flourish a lot more in those specific areas, right? Because that kind of is what, that idea in the post-apocalyptic world and like how, okay, humans did this and now they're no longer doing this. So yeah, you're going to have a mixture. And I really feel like one statement that I heard that I absolutely agree with when you're talking about post-apocalyptic or just apocalyptic worlds is usually like certain telltale things. So broken down buildings, abandoned cars, ruins. It's like very, very specific things that kind of indicate that. And then, of course, with them putting their own spin with what's relevant to their universe, there's going to be probably even some different things that we're going to see presented in this apocalyptic universe and setting. And I feel like so far, to me, it still looks very, like end of the world, apocalyptic. Like it looks really, really well done. Even with the hue changes and the saturation stuff that they have like slightly tweaked just to make it a little bit more visually appealing to the eye. And I think that that's also going to work extremely well with the character colors that they decided to go with. And I think that that's almost what they were trying to do in CBT1 was they were trying to dull the background or the environment so that the characters stood out a little bit more because they really are like just pure vibrant. Like you look at Gian, he's a vibrant green. You look at Mortify, he's a vibrant red and white. You look at Gian. I'm sorry, not Gian. John Woo. He's literally a like vibrant dark blue. Like it's like really interesting, like the color palettes that they use. So I'm really intrigued to see like how the characters are just gonna seamlessly transition throughout all these different like environments.
This is what we wanted, yes, from the feedback. The gacha system and game being generous. From a free-to-play and low-spender perspective, can be any gacha system for me. Most important, how the game will be generous. From CBT1 experience, getting dailies and weekly tasks, weekly endgame, that was not enough, but we need to wait for CBT2 to confirm how the game it is. There will be more challenges, more endgame content, more weekly challenges with the bosses, exploration, that's one time, but I believe there will be more new patches where they can add new regions
and
or
new islands,
island for more resources.
Yeah, I will say that I do think that like CBT1 wasn't a really good gauge on like the currency and income as well, because it's like the game was, it's still in the works, right? I would even argue with CBT2, we're going to get an idea of where it's at, but it's not finalized, right? So that means that it is subject to change. If players say like, hey, all the other things that we had issues with are now fine, but this is an issue, I'm pretty sure Kiro will, take another look at that. But I will say this, we have to consider that this is a completely different game. And so if you are coming from games like, say, for example, Punisher Gray Raven, where that is a very, very free to play experience, I will say for what it's going to cost them to be able to run this game, there's no way they can like realistically do the gacha system exactly that way. There's only certain parameters that they can change to where they can make more, but still offer players, a better experience as far as like, say, making something guaranteed, for example. Now, the thing is that when we're also considering that, again, what is exactly generous, it's going to be really relevant to, I feel like, how the game plays and how the character plays. Is there a huger emphasis or a higher emphasis on needing to have specific characters? Because I think that that's really where you have the gacha system kind of come back into fruition. Like, okay, we need to be pulling on the gacha versus I would like to pull on the gacha so I can get this unit. And I think it's going to be a matter of really emphasizing what's more important, like for a player to be able to save over time and maybe pull for the things that they like, or if you want to pull something something early, then maybe you might be one of those light spinners and you get something early, but it's not necessarily a determining factor of you're the only ones to be able to beat something because you have this. I think that, again, there's going to be a lot of skill-based things to the game. So that's going to also be a very, 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 very important aspect in terms of how the player experience is, and just kind of in relevance to that game is generous gacha system idea. But I do feel like with Kuro, they usually do a really, really good job with making sure players have what they need. And if not right away, they'll make sure that they get it at some point. So again, we just have to kind of wait and see what they cook up. But I think that this is definitely a valid topic to talk about.
Hope we can see some events that we didn't see in CBT1, secret chests from exploration, hidden cubes that you can find on the map that can be exchanged for more rewards and summons.
Yep.
Plus, we have a shop from summoning
where you can actually get
special
summons and
currency
stuff.
back
Yep.
and exchange for more summons.
Yep.
Nowadays, many gacha games have a battle pass, so possible battle pass. And I believe that Kuro games will find the balance where they need to earn the money to keep the new updates and keep the game alive, and players can enjoy the game and have this feeling that the game is generous enough to support the game.
Yep.
A few more things worth mentioning: cooperation mode, you can explore and find bosses together with your friends.
Yeah. Yep,
In
co-op's going to be
comments,
pretty...
like in Elden Ring, you can bait other players with the message "secret path ahead," or you can be nice and give real hints.
Yeah, that's actually kind of fire.
If you don't like the current time in the game, you can skip to morning, afternoon, or night.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that these are all like valid things like within the game. I mean, honestly, guys, I'm really excited, right? So even just down to like what they're going to be presenting for, you know, just in general, what they have for CBT2, I think that a lot of you guys that have been kind of under a rock at this point, or you're coming from a different community, like I said, again, guys, we welcome you guys. I hope that you guys have actually been able to take some of this as some great information to kind of get you hyped up just as much as we are for Wuthering Waves. I think the biggest takeaway too, guys, is that we are a community that really, honestly, truly is focused on what we have going on. I will say there's always going to be those anomaly individuals, but try to find the good within the community because it is there. Okay, I promise you. Again, guys, as far as CBT2, that is going to be a thing that is going to be happening at some point, and I feel like it's actually relatively soon. The CBT closing, and I'm going to have it linked down below, is going to be actually closing on the 7th. So if you have not registered for CBT2, definitely make sure that you do so that you don't miss out on any of this. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel as well, because I am going to be a part of the CBT2, and you don't want to miss out on any giveaways that they might allow us to be able to have. So again, guys, that's going to be that. Everyone, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.